as we're in week 3 of the offseason review. First up, on the Chicago Bears. Let's break down their offseason, what they did to improve this roster, and can they take the next steps towards a championship in 2026? Let's get into it. Week 3 of the offseason report is live in full effect. We're getting into the We Are the North division this week. And what we've been covering this last few weeks in the offseason review is your favorite teams. We've been breaking down your favorite NFL teams, each team in each division. We're going week to week, division by division, all the way through the 32 teams in the NFL. We're breaking down their free agency moves, what impactful rookies they have, and they want to grade their offseason as a whole and give you our predictions on the 2026 season outlook for each team. So like I said, it was up on the docket this week is week 3. This is NFC North, then We Are the North division. The Chicago Bears, the Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers, and Minnesota Vikings. We're breaking down each team. And starting off with the division champs, the Chicago Bears. We're getting into the Chicago Bears business today, and we're going to talk about Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson in year 2, and a bunch of other things and what they did in the offseason. And did they do enough to improve their chances at winning a championship, or at least getting into the Super Bowl from the NFC this year? So like I said, we're going to break it all down here. Their free agency moves, their draft, the trades they made, grade their moves, and give you our predictions on the upcoming season and what it's going to take to fulfill their destiny, whatever that may be. So getting into the Chicago Bears, they finished 11-6 last year, first in the division. First time in a while that they won a division title. I wonder how long that's been. I need to research that. How long it's been for the division title for the Chicago Bears. It's been a minute. It's been ran by other teams, the Packers, the Vikings in certain cases. The Lions have had a hold on it for a little while with Ben Johnson being in Detroit. Now he's in Chicago, with Dan Campbell being the leader of that particular conversation. So yeah, so the Chicago Bears, when they got Ben Johnson out of that regime in Detroit, they finally decided to take the reins in a sense and start to make their mark in this division. So what's it going to mean for year 2 in this particular conversation? Because a lot of people were shocked and surprised, how quickly they turned things around with Ben Johnson coming in the fold. Sometimes you need some growing pains done and need some time to, build in your culture. But they got the rolling right away. And like I said, they went 11-6 last year, and they definitely, caught everybody by surprise in a sense. I'm not sure how many people had them winning division. Pretty much everybody had the Lions penciled in, and then the Bears came roaring in. So, can they duplicate that? Because it's one of those things, like I talk about in previous videos, that nobody's shocked about you now. That everybody's looking at you like you're the team to beat, right? You're the team that's going to be, the ones that set the bar for us in our competitive ilk. And can we compete in this division and in the conference? And we can beat you because you made it far. You won a division. You made it far in the playoffs. And we can beat you. We feel like we got a really good chance of competing for the NFC title as a whole in the conference. So what are the Bears going to do in year 2 of the Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson air quote marriage? So Ben Johnson is the head coach in year 2. Dennis Allen's the defensive coordinator. 2 very renowned and intelligent coaches that seem to have things rolling in the right direction in Chicago for once in a long while. They have been arguing that they finally found a franchise quarterback, and now they got a really good coach to marry up with that really good DC. So can this all come together? And they can take the next leap in the conversation of making it to the Super Bowl through the NFC. But it's not going to be easy. I tell you that it's not going to be easy. But we'll see how things roll. So let's get into it. Let's talk about their free agency moves. They had a abrupt, I guess you can say, retirement by Drew Dalman. They signed Drew Dalman to a large deal in 2025 season going in. And they thought they had their center for a few years. I mean, that was his first free agent contract coming off his rookie deal from the Falcons. He just abruptly retires on them. That was a wild scenario. I didn't see that coming at all. But I give them credit. They went out and addressed it right away. They filled that void, straight away. They didn't wait on the idea they can maybe do it in the draft or do it down later in the conversation of maybe a trade or something, of that ilk. They jumped on the bandwagon, and he did them a solid by retiring early so they can address this in free agency. We went out and got Garrett Bradbury, a center. I don't want to call him a journeyman, but he's been around for a little while. Maybe a few stops here and there, but they brought him in to to be the new center of Endowment's place. They traded for him. They got Kobe Bryant, a free agency, as well, a safety from Seattle. They signed Devin Bush as a linebacker. He is going to fill the void from the TJ Edwards and the Tremaine Edmonds of the world, which I want to talk about a little bit later. I'm a little bit questioning that aspect of that area, but we'll address it a little bit later. Signed D lineman Nevin Gallimore. They re-signed DeMarco Jackson. They signed Khalif Raymond as an extra added receiver in the room. They re-signed Braxton Jones, and they signed Jedrick Wills. Jedrick Wills might be that swing tackle on the left side that they might have to play in their rookie now second-year player's role, because I think he tore his patella tendon. And I think the last game of the season or the playoffs, I have to look at that exactly when he got hurt, but he got hurt in a very inopportune time for them. I think they threw Joe Thuney out there to fill a void temporarily, but Joe Thuney is best kept in the interior and left guard. So I think they might have Jedrick Wills sliding into that left tackle spot until their rookie now second year guy is going to fill the void at left tackle, right? Ozzy Trapillo, I was hesitant to say his name because I know I'm going to butcher his last name, and I hate when I butcher names. But Ozzy is definitely the left tackle. He was a guy that's going to be there, assuming he can bounce back from that injury. It was a very gruesome injury. But and again, a very inopportune time. It was late in the season, so the idea of him coming back at the start of the season might be in question because he got hurt so late in the season. But I'm assuming he'll be back at some point. But maybe Jedrick's going to fill that void temporarily until they can get Ozzy back on the field and healthy, and then maybe they don't have to rush him with Jedrick coming back. Because I think Jedrick took a year off last year to kind of get himself healthy as well. He's been banged up, bouncing around in Cleveland. And I believe that he's going to be, healthy and a year off, fresh, and he should be ready to roll. So he definitely can, still, be competitive on O-line if Ozzy is not ready. But Jedrick Wills coming in, hopefully filling that left tackle spot. So we'll see where he shapes out into camp and how he rounds back out and get into football shape again, because you got to do that. Taking a year off, no matter how much you work out on your own, you got to get into football shape. You got to put them pads on. You got to hit people. You got to get ready for the rigors of the NFL, right? So can Jedrick bounce back and be ready with his fresh look on life, with his non-injury concerns that he finally doesn't have for the first time in quite a long time? So yeah, we'll see what Jedrick does. But I think I like the Garrett Bradbury move, obviously trading for him and filling that void. Jedrick Wills move I liked. The Kobe Bryant move I liked. The other ones I'm lukewarm on, especially the Devin Bush conversation, because I feel like this other guys he could have went after. But I'll get into it in a little bit about what I didn't like about that area. So those are your free agency moves. Now get into the draft. I think the top end of their draft was really good. As the one pick I liked in the bottom half of it, that was really good as well. But they went out and picked 25 and got Dylan Thielemann from the Oregon Ducks, safety, one of the best safeties in this draft. I think Caleb Downs and Dylan were the 1-2 guys coming off the board. Emmanuel Neil Warren as well. I think he was in the conversation, but I think most people had Dylan Thielemann, which shocked me that he even made it to pick 25, because I just knew the Vikings were going to take him, and I'll talk about that later on in their video. But Dylan Thielemann fell to them at 25, so they had to take him. I mean, they had a void at safety. Obviously, that room is need of an overhaul in the space. So they went out and got him. Pick 57, they got Logan Jones, the center out of Iowa, and I love that pick as well. Not only did they trade for Bradbury to be the incumbent, but Logan Jones is going to be the starter going forward. Like, they not only invested in the I guess you can say the interim or the guy for now and the guy of the future. So I would say that Logan Jones sooner than later was going to be the starting center, and he's going to probably marry up with Caleb for a good little while, because Logan Jones can play football. He can play football. And anybody that got him, I mean, I was lobbying for the Chargers and a few other teams to get him. Anybody that needed a center, right? And they snagged him at 57, and I think that was a great pick. I'm a lukewarm on a Sam Roush pick from Stanford, pick 69. It was okay, not world beating. And again, they already have 2 tight ends, so he's already the third guy on the depth chart, from jump. So with Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland, he's the third man on the books, the starters. He already looking up at them. Then you got the wide receiver from LSU, Xavier Thomas, which is, it's okay move. I mean, but I'm not sure he's going to fit in the fold with Khalif Raymond and, of course, Roma Dunze, Luther Burton already 1 and 2. So I'm curious where he's going to fit in. The Malik Muhammad pick from Texas, the cornerback from Texas, was a decent pick. I feel like they could have went a different direction. There was a better corner on the books at 124 for me. But in the end, that's me deep diving into the idea of who was really going to fit well and play really good corner for NFL standards, I should say. But never cried over spilled milk. Maybe they saw something in their scheme that Dennis Allen liked that I don't know about. Clearly I'm not in the room, but just from a talent perspective, I might have went in a different direction. But when pick 166 with Keyshawn Elliott, I did like that pick. A linebacker from Arizona State. I did like that pick, and I think he was one of my sleeper running linebackers that if he got picked up in the later rounds, he was going to be a steal for them. I'm guaranteed he's going to play special teams right off. And based upon the way this linebacker room looks, he has a shot to play. He really does, because them cleaning house in that linebacker room, and I'm going to address it now. I didn't like their aggressiveness in that space. I think they could have gone a different route or gone more aggressive in developing their guys in that middle of that defense. Because the up front D line is solid, the safety room is solid-ish. The corners are definitely solid, but that linebacker room gives me pause. It gives me pause. I mean, you moved off from Tremaine Edmonds, you moved off from TJ Edwards, who you paid big money to a couple of seasons ago. Clearly, that was the other regime. Ben Johnson didn't do that, obviously. Dennis Allen had nothing to do with that. I get it. But the idea of not addressing that room in a really aggressive way to be the anchors and I guess you can say the centerpiece of your defense gives me pause. I have really big time concerns about your playmaking ability at the linebacker spot. That is a very underrated area. You need guys to be able to tackle and cover. Your D linemen are making waves up front. So what they got in the room right now, I'm questioning it. And I think there's a weakness in this defense right now. And Dennis Allen is going to have to hide some guys and be very strategic in his schemes, because you don't have a Pro Bowl playmaking guy right now. With, like you say, you signed Devin Butcher for agency. Keyshawn Elliott is a rookie. We're not sure what he's going to be. He might need a year or two to develop, but he has the talent to play. It's just a question of what is he going to be? Is he ready to start now? I don't know. You never really know with rookies, especially, rookies that are, picked later in the rounds, and they're picked later in the rounds for a reason. I mean, his athleticism, his playmaking ability is really, really good in college, but will that translate into the league? That is the question. That is the question. How you adjust to the rigors of the NFL game is the question mark as well. So you can't bank on the idea that he's going to be able to start. I think he's a really talented guy, but I make him a sleeper for a reason, because sleepers typically maybe need a year or two to develop, right? But, they aren't ready to be thrown in the field most likely right away. So we'll see. We'll see. But I did like the pick. They definitely were aggressive in that space, getting a guy that was available to them. I feel like they could have, maybe moved that Sam Roush pick or that Xavier Thomas pick and picked a linebacker in 69 to 89. But even 124. But they did land Keyshawn Elliott, so it wasn't all bad. And pick 213, I don't know, I'm going to call it a throwaway pick, but they're Jordan Van Den Berg from Georgia Tech. D lineman, interior D lineman. So yeah, we'll see how that rolls. But I mean, again, it's a 7th round pick. So what can you really say? If he makes the roster, good for him. Good for him. But I mean, again, I'm not banking on him being a Pro Bowler right away at that pick. So we'll see. But as their offseason moves that they've done, their trades, I didn't mention the idea of them trading DJ Moore away. They did do that. And I think that's what landed them Logan Jones, as a matter of fact. So that was a pick that landed them Logan Jones. So that paid off, because they needed a center for the future. But DJ Moore is no longer with them. He's with the Bills. So we'll see how that particular outfit works out, in 2026. But yeah, that's what they're doing in their room, and that's what they did in the draft and free agency. So will this be enough? So when it comes down to their offseason grade and what I think they did in the offseason, there were some moves that I liked. I think they could have been more aggressive in the space. And then, mind you, it's not over. They could have definitely go out and before training camp or during training camp, but they feel like once they see the guys on the field that they might need some juice in those areas. But for now, I think the glaring need and the problem areas I have is the linebacker room, obviously, like I mentioned, and the edge rushing room. They didn't do much to address the edge rushing room as well. That's something they could have maybe addressed in the draft as well. There was a plethora of edge rushers out there to add to this room. Now, mind you, they have guys in the house. They got Austin Booker, who they drafted. They got Montez Sweat, who they traded for. I get it, but I think having a every down guy, because Austin Booker's still developing, or maybe giving him some competition in the room to just kind of double down on it, and maybe give yourself some depth. Because again, you lose Austin or Dayo, who they picked up in free agency last year, or Montez Sweat, any space, any time, it's going to be a void, and you're going to be putting more pressure on the guys that's on the field, right? Most people are drafting or have 3 to 4 edge rushers minimum on their team, so they can rotate them, play games with them up front, mix and match, blitz, twist, stunt, do all kind of fancy things on defense, right? I really think they could have did more in that space. So they didn't do that. but it didn't address the linebacker room in a big way. It didn't do that either. But everything else I think was pretty solid. I'll give them a B minus. I give them a B minus. Like I said, I like what they did by addressing the safety, not the safety in the draft. I did like that. The center position in the draft, I love that. The sleeper linebacker, I did love that. I love them addressing the center spot in free agency as well. We're trading for Bradbury. Them going out and trading away DJ Moore, and it's going to elevate Rome Odunze to likely to be the number one guy. We'll see. Luther Burden, he's a prime for a breakout candidate season in year 2. But yeah, I mean, the tight end room is solid. The all line, them bringing in Jedrick Wells as well. I love that. So I do believe that they definitely, are built to compete in this division. I definitely believe in the conference as well. I think they're built to compete. I don't think they have any glaring holes outside of the ones I addressed, right? But there's not void of talent. It is void of depth. I think they could have did a better job in that. So I give them a B minus. I give them a B minus. It might be a little bit generous, but I think I'm gonna give them a B minus in that space because I just like their overall roster, and they did address the most glaring holes. The center position was definitely a glaring hole. The idea of them, having not only the guy of the present, but the guy of the future, great. Went out and got a great safety. That was a home run. Just those really glaring have to have positions they addressed it. So I'm gonna give them a B minus in this sense. So, looking at their schedule, and this might be why I kind of lean into the idea of give them a B minus, right? Because their schedule is actually pretty favorable. I looked at this, particular regime out of 17 games, there are 14 winnable games here. Like, they really games I think they're going to really have a tough time. I'll list them just to keep it short. Everything else I think is very highly winnable. I think the Eagles game is going to be a tough one. I think that Seattle game is going to be a tough one. The Patriots game may be tough. I'm not sure. I talked about the Patriots and maybe they're going to regress with all the distractions and nobody's, actually air quotes scared of them. They're not, they know what to expect, and Kendrick may progress. All of those are conversations. But I think that the Patriots game maybe, but the Seahawks game is going to be a tough one. I definitely believe the Jags is going to be a tough game. The Bills are going to be a tough game. Everything else in the division, especially all winnable games. I think they can beat any team in this division. I'm not sure what the Lions are going to be. I'm not sure what the Packers are going to be. And I'm damn sure not sure what the Vikings are going to be. So I think that they're the odds-on favorite to be the favorite in this division right here, right now, for sure. So if they can win, if they're going to be either favorite or close in ranks to 14 out of 17 games, this should be a division winning, maybe a home field advantage type of conversation if they do things right. That is the question. So will they do it? But I believe the schedule is very favorable. It's almost like what the Patriots had last year. So you got to take advantage. I'm sorry. You got to play the games in front of you. You can't make the schedule. You can't dictate it. So guess what? And it's the first place schedule for them because they won the division last year. So it's not like they finished last in the division. They got a cupcake schedule. No, they finished first and it's still high landed. So hey, kudos to them. And getting a really good favorable schedule. And I think that, they should handle business if this team is to fulfill its destiny. That's for sure. So getting into the season outlook in itself in its entirety, I think that it really hinges on Caleb Williams taking the next step. I have been critical of him being a little bit of having a little bit of an issue with his accuracy, short accuracy, his layups, the check downs and, the easy passes that he can and should make. He has struggled with those in 2025. Can he improve that? And can he, take the next step to being a complete quarterback? I think it's going to hinge on that. I think, he cannot rely on hero ball to bail him out. He's got to do the things, the easy things to make this offense click and flow and flourish. And you don't have to worry about, being dramatic and making dramatic comebacks in order to be a playoff team. But I think that if he can do even a semblance of that, this team's a playoff team for sure, based upon their schedule, their roster, their coach staff, everything in its entirety. I do believe it's a playoff team for sure. It doesn't matter where they finish, how they handle business, how the injuries fall. But I do believe they control their own destiny. I do believe that. I do believe that they are healthy throughout this entirety of this conversation. They're going to be in the conversation of winning this division and conversation of being the one seed in the conference. So, I mean, I'm telling you, that schedule, they got to take advantage of it. If they don't cash in there, barring any major injuries, they failed. They really have failed because they got a lot of breaks in the schedule. That's for sure. And I think the defense will be the key to their success. Like I said, I'm a little bit questioning the issue of Austin Booker. Can he take the next step and be a 3-down edge rusher? That's one thing. Can Deo, kind of help fill that void as well? Who's going to be the starter? Who's going to be the rotational guy? Clearly, Montez said it's going to be one guy, but who's going to be on the other side of him? The interior line, D-line is good. I'm not questioning that. I think that's pretty solid there. They got some really good run stoppers in the middle there. Their linebacking group is suspect. I'm telling you. The linebacker group is suspect. They got to figure it out. And there's some guys out there. Matt Milano's still unsigned. Devin White is still unsigned. You need a guy. You need a guy in that linebacker room. I'm sorry. Go out and get your guy, Chicago. I'm just saying. Go out and get your guy to fill that void, because I don't think you can ride the whole season with a rookie and a journeyman linebacker who's undersized. I don't like it. Don't like it. But I think their defense is going to be the key to their success, the ability to stop the run from the linebacker spot and the ability to cover from the safety spot. Because Dylan Thielen is going to fold in, likely be the starter, out, in that outfit, and probably be the catalyst to that back end of their defense. But the corners are solid. Kyler Gordon, Jalen Johnson, and company, their secondary, their corner room is really good. The corner room is really good. They can play really good defense on the corners. It's just a question of the middle linebacker room and the safety room is going to only be the question. So can they hold up their end of the bargain? And that will be the key to their success. But if defense plays solid, defense plays well, Caleb takes the next leap, if they stay healthy, I got them finish first in their division. I really do. And it could end up in home field advantage, throughout the playoffs. And you got to play in Chicago throughout the playoffs. That is advantage Bears. That is for sure. For the little bit of time they got left in Soldier Field, right? Because apparently they're moving to Indiana at some point. But, for now, they're in Chicago, windy city, cold weather, playoffs, December, January. Let's do it, Chicago. Let's see. Let's see how things roll. But that is my take on the Chicago Bears, man. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Let everybody know we're out here and doing big things. We appreciate their support. And if you have not checked out our Patreon page, please do so. We have exclusive content, only exclusive content on that channel that is not necessarily seen on YouTube. You get YouTube early content as well. You get that before anybody gets that on YouTube. You get exclusive content that's only yours if you subscribe to the Patreon channel. So please check that out. Patreon.com/LockdownDefenseSports. We appreciate the support there as well, helping us to grow this network. But if you're looking for the Lockdown Defense Sports Network in any space and any time, we're on all social media platforms, all major ones: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Like I said, hit the subscribe on the YouTube channel as well. Get us on all things sports and let us know how you feel about these breakdowns and what you want to see going forward. But in the meantime, between time, I'm your boy, Coach Divas. Until our next video, I'll see you when I see you. And as always, you got to step up to lock it down.